The first thing they notice is not the aircraft. It is the timing. At exactly the same moment, the two Japanese bombers appear over the green canopy of Bougainville. Fighters rise to meet them out of nowhere. Not climbing, not searching, already there, waiting. For a brief second, the escort pilots think it is coincidence. Then they see the formation, and something feels wrong. April 18, 1943. Early morning. Southwest Pacific. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto is flying a scheduled inspection tour. His route is precise. His timing is fixed. His confidence is absolute. He believes no one knows he is coming. But far to the south, 16 American aircraft have already been airborne for hours. Not searching, hunting. The lead pilot, Major John W. Mitchell, does not speak much over the radio. His formation of Lockheed P-38 Lightning fighters flies just above the ocean surface, so low that salt spray almost touches the propellers. This is not a dogfight mission. It is a timed interception. Every second matters. Mitchell checks his watch again. The entire plan depends on arriving at a single point in the sky at a single exact minute. Not early, not late, because if they miss it, there will be nothing to find. No second chance. The P-38s carry extra fuel tanks. They have flown more than 400 miles in silence, maintaining strict radio discipline. Even a small navigation error would mean failure. There are no landmarks out here. Only open water. Only calculations. Behind Mitchell, each pilot holds formation. Engines steady, eyes scanning the horizon. No one speaks, but everyone understands the stakes. They are not chasing a target. They are intercepting a schedule, and that schedule belongs to one of the most important commanders in the Japanese Navy. Back in the north, Yamamoto's aircraft moves steadily toward its destination. He sits inside a Mitsubishi G4M, known to Allied pilots as the Betty. It is fast. It has long range, but it is lightly armored. Around him, 6 escort fighters maintain position. Mitsubishi A6M0 pilots, experienced and confident, scan the sky. They expect nothing. There is no radar warning, no radio alert, no sign of danger, because from their perspective, there should not be any. The Americans do not have the range to reach this far. At least, that is what they believe. Far below, Mitchell begins the climb. The ocean disappears beneath them as the P-38s pull upward in unison. The formation splits exactly as planned. One group will engage the escort fighters. The other will strike the bombers. Timing is everything now. Mitchell looks at his watch. They are right on schedule. Then, for the first time, the Japanese pilots see them clearly. Not approaching from a distance. Already in position. Already attacking. Confusion spreads instantly across the formation. The escort pilots react, breaking formation to intercept. They cannot understand how the Americans arrived here at this exact moment. There was no warning, no build-up, only sudden presence, and immediate danger. Lieutenant Rex T. Barber pushes his P-38 forward. His target is not just any aircraft. It is the lead bomber. He knows exactly which one it is. Because the mission briefing was precise. Because intelligence had confirmed it. Because everything depends on this moment. The Zero fighters close in fast. They are agile, experienced, dangerous in a turning fight, but the P-38 has speed and firepower. This is not a prolonged engagement. It cannot be. Barber lines up his shot. The Betty bomber begins evasive movement, dropping slightly, trying to escape into the cloud cover and terrain below. The sky becomes chaotic. Fighters cross paths at high speed. Gunfire flashes. Engines roar. But inside that chaos, the plan remains focused. One target. One opportunity. Barber fires. The P-38's nose-mounted guns strike the bomber. Not scattered. Concentrated. The rounds hit the engine and fuselage. The Betty begins to trail smoke. Inside, Yamamoto's aircraft is losing stability. The pilot tries to regain control, but the damage is spreading. Fire grows along the wing. Altitude drops. Below them, the jungle rises fast. Escort fighters attempt to intervene, but the American cover group keeps them engaged. Every second they are delayed increases the chance of success. Barber stays on the bomber. He fires again. More hits. The aircraft rolls slightly, then more sharply. There is no recovery now. The bomber descends toward the trees, then disappears. For a brief moment, everything goes quiet. No explosion visible from above. No clear confirmation. Just the sudden absence of the target. And that is where the uncertainty begins. Did it crash completely? Did anyone survive? Was that truly Yamamoto's aircraft? The American pilots cannot circle back to check. Fuel is limited. Enemy fighters are still nearby. The mission demands immediate withdrawal. Mitchell gives the order. They turn south. Fast. Disciplined. No celebration. Because the mission is not complete until they return. Behind them, the Japanese formation is shattered. One bomber is gone. The escort fighters regroup in confusion, scanning the jungle below, trying to understand what just happened. How did the Americans know? How did they arrive at that exact second? And most important of all, who was on that aircraft? The answer is somewhere in the jungle below. Unseen, unconfirmed, and still uncertain. The jungle does not answer immediately. Smoke rises slowly through the trees, thin at first, then darker. It marks the path of the falling aircraft, but it does not reveal the truth inside it. For the Japanese search teams, the question is urgent. Was Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto on that aircraft? Or had he taken another plane? Back at the American base, the same uncertainty exists. Major John W. Mitchell lands his Lockheed P-38 Lightning after one of the longest fighter interception missions of the war. The engines shut down, but there is no celebration. Only quiet tension. Fuel levels were critical. Some aircraft returned with almost nothing left in their tanks. A delay of even a few minutes would have meant aircraft lost at sea. The timing worked. The interception happened. But the result is still unknown. Mitchell gathers his pilots. Each one reports what they saw. Gun camera footage is reviewed. Descriptions are compared. The story is consistent. A lead bomber was hit. It went down. But confirmation requires more than observation. It requires evidence. Days pass before Japanese ground units reach the crash site. The terrain is dense, uneven, and difficult to navigate. When they finally locate the wreckage of the Mitsubishi G4M, the damage tells a clear story. The aircraft did not explode in the air. It crashed under control, but too damaged to survive the descent. The fuselage is broken among the trees. Inside, they find him. Admiral Yamamoto is still seated, his body forward, hands near his sword. He died during the crash or just before impact. There are no signs of escape. The confirmation spreads quickly through the Japanese command. One of their most important leaders is gone. The shock is immediate. Yamamoto was not just an admiral. He was the architect behind the attack on Pearl Harbor. He understood American industrial strength and had warned that a long war would be dangerous for Japan. Now he is no longer there to guide strategy. But the shock is not limited to loss. It is the method that disturbs them. The precision, the timing, the impossible interception. Japanese officers begin to ask a dangerous question. How did the Americans know? Because this was not a random encounter. The route was secret. The timing was exact. The formation was known. There is only one logical explanation. The communication had been compromised. What they do not fully understand yet is how. Weeks earlier, American codebreakers had been working to decipher Japanese naval communications. Through careful analysis and pattern recognition, they were able to partially break the system used by the Imperial Japanese Navy. One message stood out. It detailed Yamamoto's travel plan. Specific times, specific locations, exact routing. This was not vague intelligence. It was precise. But knowing it was only the first step. Acting on it required a decision. American commanders understood the risk. If they used this intelligence too obviously, Japan might realize their codes were compromised and change them immediately. That would blind Allied forces across the Pacific. But the opportunity was too significant to ignore. Yamamoto was a strategic mind. Removing him could shift momentum, even if only slightly. So the mission was approved. Carefully, quietly. The pilots were given just enough information to execute, but not enough to reveal the source. Even among themselves, the operation was treated as highly classified. And that is why the interception had to look like chance. But in the sky above Bougainville, it did not feel like chance. To the Japanese pilots who witnessed it, the American fighters appeared exactly where they should not be. At exactly the right moment. Lieutenant Rex T. Barber later described the attack with clarity. He focused on the lead bomber, fired controlled bursts, and stayed on target until it was no longer flying. He did not know the full strategic impact at that moment, only that he had completed his assignment. Back in the United States, confirmation of Yamamoto's death is handled carefully. The information is sensitive. It reveals success, but it also risks exposing intelligence capabilities. Eventually, the news becomes public. It is presented as a bold interception mission, a long-range strike executed with precision, which is true, but incomplete. The deeper truth remains hidden for years, that the entire operation depended not only on pilot skill, but on information. Accurate, timely, and decisive. Strategically, the impact is complex. Yamamoto's death does not end the war. It does not immediately weaken Japanese forces in a visible way. The Imperial Navy continues to fight, and experienced officers step into leadership roles. But something changes. A level of caution disappears. A unique perspective is lost. Yamamoto had understood the limits of Japan's position in a prolonged conflict. Without him, decision-making shifts, subtly at first, then more noticeably over time. For the American side, the mission proves something critical. Long-range fighter interception is possible. Precision timing can replace traditional search, and intelligence can shape the battlefield before a single shot is fired. The pilots who flew that mission return to routine operations. There are no grand ceremonies immediately after, no dramatic announcements, just another entry in the logbook. But among them, the memory remains clear. The moment they rose from the ocean, the exact second they met the target, and the silence that followed as the bomber disappeared into the jungle. For the Japanese pilots who survived, that moment remains just as vivid. They had escorted many missions. They had faced enemy fighters before, but never like this. Never with such precision. Never with such certainty. It did not feel like a battle. It felt like something already decided. And that is what made it unforgettable. In the end, the mission was not defined by the gunfire. It was defined by timing. A narrow window in the sky, measured in seconds, where planning, intelligence, and execution came together perfectly. One aircraft, one moment, and a result that echoed far beyond the jungle where it ended.